Hi, this is Aaron Meza, and you're watching Phantom Music. Well, through no choice, I was born in Hell's Kitchen, New York, to an entertainment family. So that's how I got involved in the entertainment world. Eventually, it was no surprise I'd be involved in music, and eventually I got my degree in music. I played the bands. I'm a child of the 60s, so that was all very appropriate. The writers that created what we call the American Songbook. These were men and women who, you refer to them as the greatest generation. These were the people living and working before World War II and through World War II into the early 1960s. And the catalog of music that they created still exists today. And so it was my good fortune to work with them because many of these people, when they attained the success that they had attained, had their own publishing companies. And so I was a West Coast representative for an organization that represented professional writers. The arrangement was the songwriter would be concentrating on doing what they do best, which is creating the work. The music publisher would do the business side of it. Things had to change, however, in the 1960s because prior to that, the recording artists rarely wrote the songs. So they needed the music publisher who needed the songwriter. And so it was a really nice little system. And so in the 60s, the artists themselves started writing the music themselves. And so then the artists started thinking, well, maybe we could have the publishing ourselves. That's all well and good, and I really highly recommend that any songwriter really understand the business side of what they do. But even the most successful among what we would call the old type of songwriter, Diane Warren, for instance. So she's not a performer, she writes amazing songs. She's hired people to run her company. I think she's knowledgeable about it, knowledgeable enough to know you hire people to run the business. So while I strongly support that songwriters can in fact understand music publishing, the actual doing of music publishing I think is reserved more for those songwriters who are a little bit more detail-oriented, understand the complexities of licensing. On the other hand, some songwriters keep their publishing. Really, it means it inflates their paycheck, but yet they still need administrators to do the business of music publishing. But licensing, that's the core of, in other words, music publishing is exploiting your songs and exploiting your music. And you do that by licensing. I always sort of use an analogy, it's like we're a store and we have intellectual property as our inventory. And the way people use that inventory is through licenses. They request permission to use our work. And then we negotiate for that license, and that's very intricate. That's a very detailed process. And then music users, everything from record companies to video game producers to filmmakers to advertising people to television shows, everyone uses music. And so they get permission from us through licensing. And so there's a lot of paperwork and everything has to be in writing. You can't just be word of mouth. So all of that detail has to be accounted for. That's the administration of the copyrights. Well, I guess two suggestions, all right? This is just for people wanting to get involved in the business, the entertainment business, not just the music business, but the entertainment business. One is volunteer your time. As I've said, it seems all altruistic and stuff, but the fact of the matter is when you volunteer your time, what you get back from it, it can be life-changing. I'm an example of that. So that would be number one, would be volunteer your time because, that might be your entree. And then the other thing is get involved with organizations in our business. They're there to provide professional services, but there's also educational services that they provide, as well as networking opportunities, social. This is a very, it's like being in any other type of industry that's closed. There's only so many people. It's a small industry. And at least in my experience, there are plenty of people who are willing to help, who are willing to pass it on, who don't have any animosity or whatever, But they have to know who you are. And it's the young people that you have to get out of your shell. A third piece of advice, gentlemen, invest in a good pair of shoes. So that this way, when you get invited to go to whether it's a Beverly Hills event or it's this event, you're not intimidated in any way. Just put on a nice pair of kicks. Anything you wear above it is acceptable in our business, which is amazing. And get out there and network.